I was riding the metro home, barely made the last train. I flew through the closing doors and immediately plopped down on the nearest seat. My legs gratefully stretched out, my body relaxed. I smiled blissfully and thought to myself, finally, just an hour or so and I'll be home. I'll have some tea, watch an episode of something before bed, pull the covers over my head, and sleep through the entire weekend. I moved to Moscow recently, from a small town at the edge of the world. I came for a better life, but I never suspected it would be this hard. I had to work 2 jobs, in an office during the day and as a courier in the evenings, just to make ends meet. The apartment I rented was tiny, reeking of dampness and the waste of a cat's life. Some crazy old lady had lived there before me. After she died, her relatives rented it out for pennies. It was the only option that fit my budget, so I took it. The commute was tough, though. The apartment was out in the middle of nowhere, but over time, I even grew to love these long metro rides when there wasn't a soul around, just you and the clatter of the wheels. There was a certain romance to it. I had to get from Izmailovskaya to Strogino, thankfully with no transfers. I stretched out on the seat and closed my eyes, but snapped them open again because I felt something pulling at my pant leg. Opening my eyes, I saw a woman in front of me, filthy, disheveled, clutching a bunch of bags that were dripping something slimy onto the floor. She smelled of dampness and must, as if she had just crawled out of some crypt or grave. The dirt under her horrifying nails seemed to hint that that was exactly the case. Her face was disfigured, a huge red scar on her right cheek, half an ear missing, a festering mass where her left eye should have been. Her mouth was twisted. One corner drooped down to her chin, the other curled into a hideous grin. She looked as though half her face had been torn off by something sharp, as if she'd been mauled by a huge dog, or something worse. The woman stared blankly at me with her one cloudy eye and kept pulling at my pant leg, her mouth twisting into a crazed half-smile. After the initial shock, I stammered, "Ma'am, what do you want?" She just kept staring, licking her lips like a predator. I flinched and stood up. The last thing I needed was to ride the whole way with this lunatic. She began to speak in a vile voice, as if spitting the words out, as though she hadn't used her vocal cords in a long time and was just now learning how to do it again. "Don't sleep. You mustn't sleep. He will come for you. He'll come. He'll come." At the next station, the doors opened. I quickly got out and moved to the adjacent car. I looked back through the connecting door. The horrifying woman had vanished, as if she had never been there at all. I let out a sigh of relief and fiddled with the lucky coin in my pocket, a gift from my best friend before I left. It looked like a normal 5-ruble coin, but it had a secret. It was heads on both sides. I always turned it over in my hands when I was nervous or angry. The gesture calmed me, so I took it with me wherever I went. In a way, it was the most valuable thing I owned. Right, I thought. They warned me Moscow was a crazy city, but this was a first. A shiver went down my spine. God forbid I ever see that monster again. What was she saying? Don't sleep? What nonsense! 10 minutes later, I had composed myself so much that I started to nod off. It had been a long day. It was already 1 in the morning, and I'd been on my feet since 6. If only I could just fall into my warm bed, forget about all this endless running around, the work, the crazy ugly women. My thoughts drifted lazily. My head grew heavy, disobedient. Even blinking became difficult. My eyelids refused to lift. Sleep pressed me against the hard seat, surrounded me from all sides, and I surrendered to its embrace, drifting into a wonderful vision where I'm back in my home village out with the guys for a barbecue. Crickets are chirping, twilight is falling over the village, the air smells of freshly cut grass and campfire. We're watching the fire and it feels so cozy, so warm, so right. The sudden screech of the wheels jolted me from my bliss. The car lurched violently and stopped. We're here already, I thought, and looked at my watch. A cold dread filled me. We should have reached the last station 30 minutes ago. What the hell? Thick darkness outside the windows, the car dimly lit. I turned my head, looked into the adjacent cars. No one. I fumbled through my pockets. My phone, gone. My wallet, also gone. Damn it, I cursed. There wasn't much money in it, but the wallet was new, which was a shame. All right, I decided. I'll deal with problems as they come. First, I need to figure out where I am and what's going on. Did we go to the depot? But then why didn't the driver wake me up? This wasn't the first time I'd fallen asleep on the metro, and I knew for a fact that employees walk through all the cars before sending the train further into the dark tunnels, unknown to regular passengers. Maybe tonight's driver was just too tired and skipped his usual rounds. Or maybe he just didn't see me. Fine. I'll have to get out on my own. First, I tried the call button for the driver. It made an ominous hissing sound and nothing else. "Is anyone there?" I yelled. "I fell asleep and missed my stop. Let me out!" The speaker just kept hissing at me like an angry cat. Nothing else happened. "Answer me! Are you all asleep in there?" I thought with annoyance. Nothing to be done. I had to get off the train, find an exit, a phone, an employee radio. Someone has to be on duty 24/7, right? A security guard or someone. The car doors were open. How thoughtful the thought flashed through my mind. I won't have to break any windows. I took a step forward, expecting to land on the platform floor, but instead, I plummeted down, hitting the ground hard and dislocating my ankle. Damn it! The pain was immense. Tears sprang to my eyes. I took a breath and tried to put weight on the injured leg. It turned out all I could do now was hobble awkwardly. And why did I even think there'd be a concrete platform beneath my feet? We had gone who knows where. It was pitch black around me. I flicked my lighter. Why didn't I do this sooner? And looked around. I was in a tunnel. Rails and sleepers, snakes of wires running along the walls, not a soul in sight. No light at the end of this tunnel. "Is anyone here?" I shouted. In response, the emptiness answered with a strange sound. Not quite a laugh, not quite a gurgle, not quite a growl. I shuddered. It's probably just the echo bouncing off the tunnel walls, creating a weird effect. I clenched my lucky coin in my fist to calm myself and hobbled forward, trying to see anything in the faint flicker of my lighter. There had to be an internal phone here, or a radio, something to contact someone to get me out of here. The situation was starting to seriously unnerve me. Instead of being in my warm bed with a cup of tea, which by my calculations I should have been for a while now, I was trudging through a stinking, dark, damp tunnel hoping to find a way out. I hobbled along, counting the sleepers with my bad foot. As kids, we used to love playing on the railway tracks. We'd wait for a train, and as it approached, we wouldn't move off the rails. Whoever stayed the longest won. We must have driven the train drivers insane. They'd blast their horns like madmen, and we just thought it was fun. The adrenaline made us feel so alive. Right now, I felt nothing remotely like that. Just exhaustion, a gnawing pain, and the feeling that someone was watching the back of my neck. I spun around. It seemed like the lighter's flame had just caught a fleeting movement, probably my imagination. I tried to calm myself, the things you see in the dark. I scanned the walls with the flame, nothing, all quiet. I walked on, but before I had taken 10 steps, I heard that strange sound again, the one I had mistaken for an echo. It was impossible to tell where it was coming from. It bounced off the tunnel walls, and it seemed like that vile growl was coming from everywhere at once. My whole body trembled, and I instinctively started hobbling faster. The sound grew louder. I picked up the pace. The sound got closer. It seemed to fill my head, tearing it apart from the inside. I started to run, clumsily stumbling to the side, groaning in pain. The lighter's flame flickered and went out. I tripped and crashed right onto the sleepers. Suddenly, everything fell silent. Holding my breath, I got up and stared into the darkness, stupidly flicking the lighter, which refused to work. Finally, a weak flame illuminated the rails. And then, about 10 meters away from me, I saw it. It was completely naked, crouched on all fours. At first glance, it looked like a child, a teenager, maybe 13 years old, but a closer look sent a cold sweat down my back. White skin, covered in clumps of transparent mucus. Eyes veiled by a white film. Sharp claws on its hands and feet. But even scarier were its teeth. It wasn't their sharpness or even their length that was frightening. No. His teeth were covered in red, in blood. It sniffed the air and stared right at me, motionless. I couldn't move. A feeling of pure terror shot down my spine and spread through my body, pinning me to the spot. It continued to twitch its nose like an animal, then turned and slowly moved away from me. He can't see me, the thought flashed through my mind. He's blind as a mole, relying only on smell or sound. Not much of an advantage, but better than nothing. I tried to stand up as quietly as possible. My leg had swollen up. It looked like a piece of boiled meat. Nice comparison, I thought, and bit my lip until it bled, trying to stifle a groan. The creature turned toward me. Apparently, the groan had been louder than I thought. It moved slowly in my direction, like a golem moving deftly on its four limbs. I panicked. I searched my pockets, nothing useful except a coin. With regret, I pulled it out and, with all my might, threw it in the opposite direction. A loud clang echoed as the coin hit the rails. The creature flinched and darted towards the sound. For a few seconds, I was almost mesmerized by how deftly and quickly it leaped from rail to rail, how silent and precise its movements were, like some horrifying, hairless, white monkey. Snapping out of it, I ran, awkwardly dragging my swollen leg. I tried to make as little noise as possible and didn't look back, afraid of what I might see. I didn't know where I was running. I just moved forward, not watching my path. The lighter's flame danced wildly in time with my heart. My leg exploded with pain. My vision darkened again and again. My trick had worked, but it was quickly discovered. The creature heard my panting, my clumsy steps, and gave chase. I couldn't hear the pursuit, but with the back of my neck, with my very skin, I could feel the dark terror radiating from it. He was getting closer. I was out of breath. Gasping for air, my lungs felt like they were tearing apart. I thought it might be easier to just give up, but inertia kept me moving forward for some reason. Suddenly, in the flame of my lighter, I saw something that filled me with hope and made me hobble faster. A door. A heavy metal door. Let it be open. Please, just let it be open, I thought, and lunged for the handle. The creature reacted instantly. The freak leaped high into the air and threw itself at me. My shoulder exploded in pain from its biting teeth. I let out a blood-curdling scream and thrust the lighter towards its face. My eyes immediately watered from the suffocating smell, and that sound came again, the growl, the gurgle. But this time it was mixed with a shriek of pain. I seized the moment, yanked the handle, which thankfully gave way, and tumbled inside, slamming the heavy door shut right in the face of the crying creature. Bolting the door from the inside, I collapsed onto the floor and lay there for several minutes, collecting myself. My shoulder was sticky, covered in blood. I've never seen so much blood, I thought. It was pooling beneath me in a large, dark puddle. I took off my shirt and managed to bandage the wound. It would be stupid to escape a monster only to die of blood loss. Once I'd dealt with my shoulder, I looked around and saw something on the wall that looked like a light switch. I flicked it and was blinded by cold electric light. I blinked slowly to adjust and saw where I was. I had expected a closet with wires and sensors, a transformer booth, a secret exit, a tool shed for a track walker. Basically, I expected anything but this. Inside was a fully furnished, genuine children's room. A metal bed with springs just like I had as a kid. Some toys with their stuffing pulled out and their heads torn off. There was a small bathtub, baby powders and lotions. There were even books here, though clearly no one had read them, as the pages were torn out and lay sadly on the floor. The most surprising thing was the walls, which were covered in wallpaper. On the wallpaper, all sorts of squirrels and bunnies with sweet smiles danced in circles, holding hands. In short, a completely ordinary children's room, except for one small detail. And it was all covered in dark brown stains of blood. Blood was everywhere, on the floor, on the bed, in the bathtub. Blood covered the ears of the bunnies and squirrels, dripped down their paws into their cute little baskets of flowers. Splatters of blood were everywhere, even on the ceiling. I shuddered. What is this place? Where have I ended up? And what the hell is going on here? I don't know how long I stood in that horrifying room, completely paralyzed. I couldn't move. I didn't know what to do next. I was exhausted. My shoulder was in agony, and I couldn't feel my leg at all. It had swollen even more. The knee wouldn't bend. I sank heavily to the floor, as I just didn't have the guts to sit on the blood-soaked children's bed. What do I do? The question hung in my mind. There was no answer. My eyes glazed over, scanning the walls, when suddenly I noticed something interesting in the opposite corner. A small copper plate, speaker slits, a button with a bloody fingerprint on it. Could it be? I didn't finish the thought, afraid to jinx it. I crawled closer and saw that it was indeed the same kind of communication point that was in the train car, only it looked much, much older. I stabbed the button and screamed, "Monster! A monster was chasing me! Get me out of here, I'm begging you! Can you hear me?" I prayed the thing would work. In response, it was a hiss. The speakers spat out static, sounds that refused to form into words. "Can you hear me?" The speaker spat out another burst of noise and then fell silent. I pressed the button again, punched the transmitter in despair, and slumped to the floor, defeated. Well, the thought drifted through my head. At least I did everything I could. Before I lost consciousness, I woke to a sharp sound. Someone was knocking on the door. I instinctively crawled away. "Hey kid, you in there? Hear me? Don't be afraid. Open up. It's one of us." I listened. The voice obviously didn't belong to the monster. Did they actually hear me? Is help really here? I crawled to the door and shouted, "Who are you? How did you know I was here? Who do you think was talking to you on the comm? I came to have a look at your monster." A chuckle came from behind the door. Not a mean laugh, just the way someone laughs when they hear a good joke. "Come on, open up. We gonna stand here being polite all day?" With disobedient, trembling hands, I opened the door and saw him. Perfectly ordinary arms and legs, a mustache, kind eyes looking out from under glasses, completely normal colored skin, and the uniform of a Metro employee. I was saved. "Well now, where's this terrible monster of yours?" he said, stepping into the room and looking around. His eyes widened, his mouth stretched into a grimace of horror. "Good Lord, what happened here? Kid, are you hurt? Can you walk?" He crossed himself. "My God." "I fell asleep on the train. No one answered in the car. No one was answering. So I started walking. Thought I'd find a phone or something. And then this." "Easy, easy. It's okay. Can you walk? Here, let me help you." He offered me his hand and helped me up. From the look he gave me, I knew I looked terrible. "Come on, let's go, quickly. My control room is nearby. It's safe there, nice and quiet." "How on earth did you end up here?" he muttered. From his face, I could tell the man was just as scared as I was and wanted to get out of this awful place as quickly as possible. "Let's go, kid. My name is Boris Semyonovich. And you?" "Andre. You work here?" "I do. 30 years I've worked down here. Seen a lot in my time, but this..." He shook his head. "I have no idea what happened here. But don't you worry. We'll get you out. Everything will be all right." I breathed a sigh of relief. It bit my shoulder. That monster. I don't even know how I escaped. And to think, Andre, I honestly thought you were pulling my leg. Or maybe drunk. You know, this room, it's been locked up for a long time. Used to be a service room way back. And that transmitter hasn't been used in 20 years. I watch over things down here at night, and then I get a signal from this abandoned place. Thought some lunatic got into the tunnels. Or a drunk. You know how it is. I nodded. "Right now, we'll go to the control room, patch you up, then we'll call the police and get you home in one piece. Deal?" I nodded again and smiled gratefully. We ducked out of the main tunnel to the right, behind an unremarkable door, into a serpentine, confusing system of internal corridors. The place was unsettling, but I wasn't alone, and I felt that soon, I would finally be home. Maybe I'll still get to enjoy the weekend, I thought, with a bitter laugh to myself. We walked through the corridors, turning left and right. The forks and turns made my head spin. I could barely think from the pain, but I obediently followed my savior. Along the way, Boris Semyonovich told me how he felt more at home underground than on the surface, how he was used to the darkness of the tunnels, and how his job was his life. "I'm in my element down here," he said, "in my own world. My world, you understand." I nodded, mostly out of politeness. I wasn't really interested in his chatter. I wanted only one thing, to get home as soon as possible. Well, we're almost there, Boris Semyonovich muttered. Just need to pop in on Alyosha first. Gotta feed him. Alyosha? A dog, maybe? At night? Very strange, I thought, but I followed him obediently. We turned into another corridor. Boris Semyonovich opened a door with a key. He keeps it locked, too? Okay, this is officially not normal. Maybe I'll just wait out here? I started to stammer. Oh, it'll only take a minute. Make yourself at home. The metro worker smiled. Alyosha, son, he called into the darkness. It's me. I stepped into the dark room, waiting for the click of the light switch. Instead, I heard another sound. It was the click of a lock. He had locked it from the outside. I lunged at the door, rattling the handle, but it wouldn't budge. Hey, what are you doing? Open up! I screamed and heard his calm voice in reply. Don't hold it against me, Andrusha. You just didn't see him when he was little. He was so scared of the dark and loud noises. He's still just a child, you see. Calm down. It's better for everyone this way. In a daze, I pulled out my lighter, flicked it once, twice. It wouldn't work. Finally, the flame ignited, and in its faint light, I saw Alyosha's white, startled eyes.